Hello, Chinaka. ఎట్లా ఉన్నావు? Hi, Janet. I'm glad you joined today because today I'm going to give you what is a peak energy formula for anybody. Okay, so I was always fascinated by what yoga talking about Kundalini Shakti. Okay, that's like a serpent power that is coiled in our base, and that can be erosion, and people are at peak energy, but that could be pretty dangerous too to do that. But then I found a formula that they talked about it in yoga circles, like you got to physically working, body physically working. Okay, that is one thing. See, modern life teaches us to sit and not to work, not to do physical labor, right? So that's why we come and do our exercises and all that. But naturally, people used to do a lot of work, even in America, chopping the wood, going on the horseback, and carrying water. So many physical things people used to do on the farm. That's one thing. Okay. The second thing is they encourage you to engage in unselfish work, giving from the heart, not expecting something paid back and all that. No profit motivation. That's another second thing that they wanted you to do. And the third thing is always keep your mind open, learn something new. Okay. And the fourth thing is I added was to be who we really are, that energy, that conscious being that we are. We have a mind and a body, right? We talk about that all the time. Okay. So these four things. So physically move your body, try to open your heart and serve the world with that unselfish work, and always keep your mind open so that you are learning something new. Okay, and really identify who you are and stay in that energy of consciousness, right? These four things were always given to people, right? So I expanded on that, and then I want to talk a little bit about that for you. Okay, so as you see them more and more, you will understand what I'm talking about. You see, there is a modern energy crisis that's going on. See, modern society, it does offer us a lot of convenience, comfort, and connectivity than any generation before us. That is for sure. But yet, something is profoundly gone wrong. Despite every advantage, we are really experiencing epidemic levels of burnout, anxiety, loneliness, and chronic disease. That doesn't mean that you are all like that, but it is happening on epidemic proportions, right? Vitality, see, there's a kind of felt sense of fully alive is increasingly rare. People have some problem, some complaint, or some real thing or a imagined thing going on. Ultimately, they don't have this sense of being fully alive. That is the paradox. You see, we have tools, more time, more saving technology, is a more time saving technology, right? And more medical knowledge than ever before. Yet we feel worse, not better. Many of them worried well, people. That is what I see with the people that are coming in front of me. They may have physical illness, but in spite, even after treating that, they remain like that, stressed and burnout, not having energy and all. So, what is the question that is worth asking for me is, why do so many people who have it all still feel depleted? disconnected, and without deep purpose. See, the answer lies not in what we lack, but in how we are living. That's the way of living is everything to do with that. Okay, so once you understand that, then you will be able to really address that. Okay, you can deny, you can go on like that and feel miserable, not feeling healthy, wealthy, and all that. That is there, but uh, this energy is not come from a bottle or a something that you can drink and get it. Okay, so I have been longing for energy in all the wrong places. See, the wellness industry itself sells stimulants, the productivity world sells hacks, and the motivational culture sells willpower. See, none of these address the root cause, not the caffeine, not the motivation, not productivity hacks. True energy, true energy comes from living in alignment with the human design, the way our bodies, minds, and spirits were built to function. That alignment is lacking, right? So a lot of people don't realize that, they have to have something outwardly, then they think they'll feel better. They may feel comfortable, convenient, but they won't feel that energy, right? That is for sure. So when I was growing up in India, long before the research, there was a life, right? So growing up in India, every single day naturally included the essential practices, not as a discipline or routine, but simply as the texture of daily existence. Physical works in the field and the home, right? Everybody has to do that. Helping neighbors and extended family without expectation of reward. That used to be there. One village concept was alive, and learning from the elders, keeping books and nature, all that, we're keeping our mind open, we naturally absorb. And also, they encourage that to reflect on what we are thinking. Moments of stillness woven into morning and evening, prayer, whatever, right? So, at the time, there was no language for what was happening. Okay? There were no wellness frameworks, no longevity protocols. There was simply the rhythms of a life fully lived. Rhythms of life fully lived. How many people are kind of touch with the rhythms of the life? Okay. So the realization decades later for me would be profound. Those childhood patterns that I grew up in, they were the formula all along. We were physically active, running, going to school by walk, and sitting on the floor, and coming out of the classrooms to play in the intermission and run around, and also keep our mind open to learn whatever the teacher is teaching us, and also helping out with the garden, with the layout of the school. A lot of things we did out of our own willingness, and they encouraged us to do those things out of no profit, just for the school or for the other people. That kind of thing. Okay, so that really those patterns that I learned, I kind of made them into something of a you know pattern that we could follow now, a formula. You can do it now. Just examine whether your day is filled with physical work, whatever you could do, and whether you have opened up your heart to help something or somebody or even a family member, and whether you are keeping your mind open, not shut down with opinion or judgment, but with openness, so that you can learn more from the whatever is happening in life, right? So that kind of thing. So I kind of worked with the science for 40 years, but the one ancient truth is, so we practiced decades in medicine, combined with deep dives into neuroscience, lifestyle science, and longevity research. And it all led to a striking and a humble conclusion. Latest findings from the world's best labs and research institutions pointed directly back to the same four practices lived instinctively in my childhood from the cultures, right? Medicine, obviously, clinical practice that showed me most chronic disease rooted in lifestyle, not a genetics alone. There is a genetics there, but then who can manifest the disease when we put environmental stimuli? That is in the lifestyle. That is what I understood from the medicine. Neuroscience, brain research confirmed how our movement, learning, stillness, and connection they physically reshape neural architecture, neuroplasticity. That is there. And then, if you look at the longevity of the human beings and the research, there are blue zone studies and aging science consistently identify the same behavior patterns in those who live longest and best. These people are laid back, they give from the heart, they keep their mind open, and they are kind of giving people, basically serving from their heart. And then lifestyle science itself, behavior science showed me daily habits, not dramatic interventions, but daily small habits. They determine long-term health outcomes, right? So that's why 40 years of science showed me everything is involved in our how we live. Okay, so that's what I'm going to focus on. Okay, when you move the body, the movements is the most powerful, accessible, and underutilized medicine on earth. Movement as medicine. Our bodies were designed to move, not to sit at desk for 12 hours a day. Every cell in your body responds to physical activity. So movement is not simply about fitness or aesthetic. It is a foundational trigger for energy, vitality, and longevity at the cellular level. Energy. Movement stimulates mitochondrial production. Your body's energy factories, there's a mitochondria, multiply and become more efficient when you move. Vitality. Regular physical activity improves circulation, hormonal balance, and the quality of every system in the body. That is the vitality, sense of well-being. And then longevity, surviving for long. Exercise is the single most evidence-based intervention for extending both lifespan and health span. That means you are doing good and you are living long. Okay, so those kinds of things are very important. So movement does that. It does produce the energy. It does produce the vitality. It does produce the longevity. Okay, that's one single medicine that is underutilized, right? So that is something we all experience ourselves in the body. Okay, then what is the science of movement is the research behind physical movement is among the most robust in all of medicine. From the cellular to the psychological, exercise touches virtually every system in the body in profoundly beneficial ways. Muscles and metabolism, for example, resistance training, whether heavy weights or rubber bands or whatever. Resistance training builds and preserves muscle mass in the metabolic engine that regulates blood sugar, hormone levels, and resting energy and its expenditure throughout our life. That is the muscle and metabolism closely connected, obviously. And mitochondrial biogenesis. See, aerobic exercise, when you are doing and taking a lot of oxygen inside, that triggers the creation of new mitochondria. Mitochondrial biogenesis, dramatically increasing your capacity to generate and sustain cellular energy throughout the day. So when you do exercise, you have more mitochondria are triggered into metabolism and you produce more energy because you have more mitochondria opened up. And this is what's called BDNF, brain fertilizer. What it is exercise floods the brain with brain derived neurotrophic factor. Neurotrophic factor. It protects the neurons, improves the mood, sharpens the memory, and reduces the risk of dementia. That is the BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic. Trophic means always allowing more growth. Neurotrophic factor. And then insulin sensitivity and the sleep. See, regular movement improves insulin sensitivity. So you can better use your sugar better and you won't be having the bad effects of the high sugar in the blood. Whereas it also profoundly enhances your sleep quality, exercise, right? So these the two pillars, the decreased insulin resistance and the increased sleep quality, they both really help you to revive yourself back to normal. Okay, that's why it's very important to understand why the movement is very important in our daily energy. Okay, you remember the formula. First step is daily physical exercise. Okay, and the more you are used to it, the more you have to do it. And then the second factor is how we are working, how we are doing anything that we do with the sense of service, with the sense of opening up my heart and giving from the heart, not allowing our ledger mind say, I need to have this before I can give it. Modern life problem is we allow the ledger mind to function first and then do. That's why you're always not opening our heart, which is nourishing for us and for the people who are receiving. So, serve the world. Purpose is not luxury. Okay, it is a biological need. Many people don't have purpose in their life. Instinct or condition, or somebody told them something, they will do that. Have some impression like if I get all those external things, I'll be happy. But try to serve one person, one thing every day and see how much it feeds you. Not because you want to be fed that you want to serve, but you are serving from your heart means you are giving. Giving unconditionally nurtures you also. Okay? So the purpose having a reason beyond yourself, that is beyond yourself, a selfish need beyond that. Then you may have a cause, you may have a community, you may have a mission, whatever. This is one of the strongest predictors of long life and emotional well-being. Okay, people who are engaged in volunteer work, who are engaged in nurturing children or animals or plants, gardeners, they have a very good long life and emotional balanced life, right? Well-being. And if you have a meaning, service transforms every ordinary action into expressions of significance, shifting daily life from routine to sacred contribution. Okay, you can make anything like that. And then you can develop better connection, genuine human connection. So it is fostered through acts of giving. That is the most powerful antidote to the loneliness epidemic of our time. Knowing that the other human being, us, we are all as a human tribe are in one village concept, that is a very important one. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, ancient said, we are all one family. The world is only one family. Okay, that's the one that you want to. Then you don't have loneliness because you are with everybody. Everybody is with you in your own inner self. They may not care about you, but you are caring about them and you are identifying with that oneness of all. Okay, that's very important. Okay, so that's the second one, serving the world with the heart. Okay, unselfish activity. That is the karma. Okay, so once you have this physical energy from movement and you have opened your heart because you silence that ledger mind or calculating mind, and you are really doing what's called karma yoga. This is ancient teaching. See, what it does is it teaches you selfless action, giving without expectation. So that purifies the mind and it dissolves your ego and connects us to the deepest source of joy and energy within. That is within. Okay. Modern research found that there's an oxytocin surge, the bonding hormone released during acts of generosity, and reduces your stress and strengthens your immune function. Oxytocin is a hormone that surges, that improves, comes up, that makes you feel good. And then stronger relationship, they give you deeper, more meaningful social bonds because you feel so good by giving, and then you do the same thing again, then your social relationship will grow. And then your mental health boost. See, voluntary clinically associated with reduced depression and anxiety. These volunteers who come to the hospital give them the services to everybody, they are experiencing more mental health boost. They feel good, elated, now, and they live longer because they have a strong sense of purpose. They live measurably longer and healthier lives. So that's why Karma Yoga is explained in modern yoga, modern medical science, modern science perspective. Okay, so if anybody has any questions, doubts on that, you can always call me and we can discuss it. Like, okay, this is something that I kind of found a connection between the ancient wisdom and the modern science. Okay, it always makes sense to understand what is modern science clarifying or confirming the ancient insights. It gives more evidence, more belief into what is going on. Okay, so that's why I kind of really help you myself. And then the first one is physical movement. Second one is opening the heart and doing stuff unselfishly. And third one is learning every day, keeping the mind open so that it can absorb new material and enjoy. This is uh, actually naturally human brain is not meant to stagnate. It is a dynamic living organ that physically changes in response to every new experience, idea, and challenge. See, lifelong learning is not merely an intellectual virtue, it is a neurological imperative. When we stop growing, something essential begins to dim. Okay? When we stay curious, we stay alive in the deepest sense. Okay? So, curiosity, growth, neuroplasticity, all these are connected. Curiosity is the energy of learning, and research allows and shows it independently predicts happiness. When you are curious, it shows your happiness, achievement, and resilience across the lifespan. It increases. So be curious, trying to know new things, not get stuck with whatever you have learned as a child and then continue. And then a growth mindset that see that belief that abilities can be developed. You are essentially believing that I can improve my own ability. That transforms challenges from threats into opportunities for expansion. So you are not afraid of new things. Okay? And neuroplasticity also every new skill, subject or perceptive, learned physically, every new skill reshapes your brain, building cognitive reserve that protects against decline. I use this when I had the stroke. Neuroplasticity, I know about it. I only thought positive about moving, getting up, and being functional, and I became functional with no time. I would not allow the negativity creep me into it. I have only positivity of learning about the stroke and then making that stroke into a wellness movement. So not only I recovered, but also helping other people to really work on themselves, to be independent, to be more energetic, more contributory, more giving, all that, right? So neuroplasticity is a wonderful thing to have because you can create brain around the dead brain. Can you imagine that? You can create your own brain. That's basically what the neural process. That means it is plastic enough, it is soft and malleable enough that can be molded into something that we want, positively thinking brain. And we create cortex accordingly. Okay, that's why be positive, think only positive, be always optimistic, and then imagine good results, and you will have them. Okay, and see the brain that never stops growing. See, for most of the 20th century, scientists believe that adult brain was fixed, that after a certain age, no new neurons could form and no new connections could be made. So this was profoundly wrong. We know that now. The brain retains its capacity for growth and changes throughout life. That is the neuroplasticity. And learning is most powerful activator for that brain. So cognitive protection is there. New natural neural pathways happen, and that's why the brain moves. So beyond the science, learning keeps life exciting. Curiosity is joy made practical. Okay, so be curious, ask questions, and go and find the new frontiers. Okay, I remember when I was in intermediates, that's before my medical school, I had a teacher in the Hindi language, and I was asking all sorts of weird questions that don't follow any pattern. But any subject comes, I kind of leap forward to something completely different, and other people thought I was an annoyance, the kids and other people, right? But he encouraged me, no, 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 keep exploring, keep allowing your mind to ask questions. Look at how Kulsu is doing. He's kind of leaping forward. He's not putting limitations. And that became a very good habit for me. And I kept on asking questions, never settling down to certain beliefs, certain faith, certain area of science, and none of them clamped me down. I allowed my mind to explore into questions. So that's a good quality, I think. So even now you can cultivate that. I do that every day. I ask questions. So I don't want to settle down in the answers that I had before, but I want to explore, reflect, explore. Okay, I do that all the time without me knowing also. Okay, and then final thing is, what are you resting in? Do you think your body and your body gets rest and nourishment is enough? No. You do think you are the mind only? No. But you are that inner energy that gives mind and body to you. That witness consciousness that is doing, that is the inner being. In a culture, see, we prize doing, achieving, and producing above all else, right? The fourth pillar may be the most revolutionary: doing, physical doing, and mental doing, and heart. These three we looked at. But here, the fourth thing is inner being. That is most needed. It's not being in resting in that is not laziness. It's not absence. It's absence of your ego, but it is the intentional return to that quiet awareness that underlies all activity. It is where we go to recover, to reconnect, and to remember who we truly are beneath the noise. Stillness, meditation and prayer, self-inquiry, all these things are under that. So you got to develop the identifying with the stillness. It's not the absence of thought. It is the spacious presence that holds all thought. In stillness, the nervous system restores itself completely. But if we allow noise go on continuously, never staying with the stillness, that's a loss. That is a profound problem with the modern people because they never stop, be still, reflect, and learn from that. Okay? Meditation and prayer are used for this. So if you have a chattering mind, and where you want to have contemplative practice where you can reduce your cortisol and lower your blood pressure and rewire the brain toward calm, clarity, and compassion. These are all the benefits of sitting quiet, trying to still the thought, trying to be in that silence, trying to be meditative, prayer, and all. And then finally asking, who am I? That is the inquiring about yourself. Beneath all roles and identities, among the most powerful practices, because this who am I is the most important practice you want to cultivate for psychological freedom, authentic living. Otherwise, you will identify with a role, you will be there for a few years, and you are say you're retired. You are no longer that role, but you are with your inner self. So the sooner you identify who you are beyond the roles and activities and identities you have, the better it is. Then you won't be led to a false ending, but you are living the authentic life from your real inner being. Okay? Rest is in that being. That's very profound sleep if you can do that. That means mind is completely silent and it allows to detoxify itself during the sleep. Okay? So understand that. Okay? So four pillars: movement, serving from the heart, and then keeping the mind open and resting in being. Okay, see that brain that never stops growing, cognitive protection, forming neural pathways, all these are important, right? And beyond the science, learning keeps the life exciting. Curiosity is joy made practical. Curiosity is the joy made practical. Okay. So as you learn everything every day, and as you open up your neural pathways, you become more young. Okay, that's a very important thing for people. Okay, people don't realize that what they're doing. Okay, so uh, rest in being is something that I talked to you about as a fourth pillar. Now we're going to go into the other one, which is we'll put it all these pillars together. Now. Okay. You see when the brain learns all the time but doesn't really uh, do anything. See, it starts with subtle awareness. Okay, and then it goes into deep presence, and your inner observation grows, and it results in quiet mind. So deep presence leads to quiet mind by inner observation and subtle awareness is the result. Okay, so being in the present moment is very, very easily doable for us. Just question yourself: am I in the present, or am I lost in thought in the past or the future? If you are lost in thought, then you are not present. But if you are in the present, you are in the life. You are in the quiet mind. You are the subtle awareness. You are observing yourself in all these are woven together that will really help you to be here and now, to be quiet, to be silent, much more easy. For me, silence is natural, and out of the silence, I have words, I have talks, and all that. But essential feature is that still silent awareness that I can observe from which all the mental activity arises. Okay, so it becomes much easier. So let's put all these four pillars together for the peak energy flow state. Okay, move, that will move the cellular energy and physical vitality will happen. And so have a focus, have a meaningful connection to whatever you are doing, and then keep your mind open and let neuroplasticity, curiosity, and growth, and rest in your inner being. Be in that stillness, be in that peace, that is very creative. Okay, so moving the body, working some physical, giving from the heart, keeping the mind open, and identifying our inner being and resting there. These are the ones, that is the formula for the peak energy. Okay, I hope you got that a little bit. But it's not going to happen just like that. Body gets used to certain unconscious habits, conscious habits. We got to observe and break them. Mind doesn't want to stay in one place. It wants to go all over. It wants to have calculations. It wants to have returns and all that. That's why you don't allow the heart to be open. That's why you got to build the mind into the heart and nudge it there. Then you become heartfully thinking. You're not thinking calculations according to the ledger mind, but according to the what you feel, kindness, compassion, understand, suffering, and all that you see with the heart. You feel with the heart somebody else's suffering, right? So when you function through that feeling, then you are heartful and you're acting heartfully. That's why always go for the heart. Okay, so and keep the mind open. Don't close it down and then keep it growing. That will be very good. Okay, and then be in that peace that you are, stillness, clarity, creative intelligence, and then rest in them. Okay, these pictures that I produced with this one, we kind of start with if you imagine a pyramid, if you take the movement, that is the base, body moving, doing stuff, and muscles getting stronger and all that. That is the vitality and longevity. It leads to more life in the body and also lives long. And then when you do service with a purpose and connection, that is the next layer. And next layer is learning new things, curiosity and finally being still and aware. That is the being level. These four pillars, if you can, this is a pyramid built from the inside out. Okay, from stillness to strength, from awareness to action. This is the one that you want to understand, and once you have that, then you really know what you are doing. Okay, in life. Any questions, Janet or Chinaka? Anything that you want to ask me? Say it's okay. Whether you want to burn out, see, constantly doing, constantly reacting, and really stimulant dependent, disconnected, anxiety, chronic disease, shrinking world. That is the current state. From that, burnout is happening. But the renewal is when you move, when you land, when you be, when you serve, when you be. Move, serve, land, be. Proactive, purposeful, energized, growing, peaceful, and expanding the world. More to do, more to love, more to enjoy. Okay, that is the renewal. So with this model, you will renew yourself, not burn out yourself. You remember I always talk about ever renewing energy. That is there in this. This energy renews itself just like always ever. Okay, and that's why you can now to get tired because you are expanding your world. Okay, so ancient wisdom plus modern science. One truth is move, give, learn, and rest in your awareness. Okay, hopefully you got the formula. You know, so once you understand this, these are not new discoveries. These are ancient rememberings, now confirmed in double-blind studies and peer-reviewed journals. So the science is confirming those insights. We just have to understand and implement them. Okay. But if you want evidence, if you want to understand scientifically, fine. There is the material to read. But once you understand it, you have to come back and implement it. Okay. Move your body, give from the heart, land with an open mind, and rest in your awareness. Okay. That is the formula. Okay. So Ask your questions. Did I move my body today, even briefly? Did I have a walk, a stretch, or a workout? Anything that reminds my body it is right. Okay. Second question is, did I help someone today? Genuinely, without expecting anything in return. It could be a kind word, an act of service, or a moment of true listening. That itself is good. Third question is, did I learn something new today? A fact, an idea, a perspective that expanded my understanding of the world. That is learning. Okay. And finally, did I become quiet today? Even for 5 minutes. Did I stop, breathe deeply, and simply be present with myself? These are the four questions you want to ask her. And the four questions, four pillars, one extraordinary life. Did I move? Did I help? Did I learn? Did I become quiet today? These four questions you want to ask yourself. Got it?
Yes.
That is the formula that I was trying to tell you. These presentation slides are good, but then we will uh, we will present that on a Zoom also. Then people can uh, have them ready to reflect on them and then do that. Okay, I'll send you the presentation slides to you, Chinaka, to you, Janet. Okay, then you could use them. Okay,
Okay, thank you.
yeah. All right. I'll see you tomorrow then. Okay.
Okay,
Bye.
okay, thank you.
Bye bye.